Titties up! Okay, I might cut that out. All right. We're on chapter 29, guys. Sorry. We're on chapter 29. We are on development. So this is post-pregnancy, post all of that. We're going to go ahead and talk about fertility and stuff like this. And preface for this, be mature about this. Many people actually have infertility issues, and this is a very touchy subject because it can be very mentally draining for a lot of families. So be appropriate, guys. Be sensible. All right. Hormones of pregnancy. So there is 3 here. There's an additional one that is on 29.16 that I did not write down that I'm going to bring up here in a second. I already have the packet all set up. So I'll show you guys that in a second. First one we're going to talk about is human chorionic gonadotropin hormone. You guys all know this probably because this is what's going to show up on a pregnancy test. Sorry if you had to experience that. But yeah, that's what's going to show up. So you have this. This is produced by the placenta, and it's going to maintain the corpus luteum until the placenta kind of like takes over and starts doing its own stuff. And so this is detectable on pregnancy tests. This is how you know you're pregnant. This is also what SSO was talking about, is eventually this will actually decrease, but you can noticeably tell you're pregnant, and that's just because the placenta is fully taken over and the corpus luteum is gone. And that's kind of how that transition is going to happen. Second hormone we have is estrogen and progesterone. And as you know, they do everything in the female anatomy. They do literally everything. They're just always doing stuff. They're very busy bees. So they are within the first 3 to 4 months. They're secreted by the corpus luteum. They were also secreted by the corpus luteum back in female reproductive. When we were talking about menstruation, it's just less of a time frame because, you know, egg's not fertilized. So your body's like, all right, get rid of that. Let's ovulate again. So this is 3 to 4 months because it did get fertilized. It needs to keep that baby nice and safe now. So once it's secreted, it's going to do the exact same thing as it did before. It's going to maintain that uterine lining. It's going to prepare the mammary glands now. And after the 3rd month, the placenta is going to take over and secrete this. And that's when everything's going to start to shift a little bit. It's also when HCG is going to kind of decrease. Will begin to decrease slowly. All right. Next one, we have corticotropin releasing hormone. This is also on 29.16, which I will show you guys just to make sure you guys need to look at it. That's right there. So this is going to be secreted by the placenta. It's going to increase the secretion of cortisol, and cortisol is extremely essential for maintaining fetal lungs and producing surfactant. So I know a little bit about this because my teacher, Christine McCollum, love her. She is lovely and loves OB, and that's her specialization. So she taught us all about this. And lungs are the very last organ to develop, and surfactant does not even start to form on the lungs until like 2 weeks before they're born. That's why if baby boys, especially baby boys, are born premature, they have to stay in the NICU longer. That surfactant was never able to be developed. They just develop a lot later, and they have a little bit harder time if they're born preemie. And so this is why you need that cortisol, is it's going to go ahead and help produce that baby so that baby can breathe and not need to be in the NICU when it's born. All right. The third one fourth one actually, that I did not list because I kind of missed it, skipped my mind, is human chorionic somatomammatropin hormone. So that is this guy right here. And I'm going to help you guys break this up. So let me get a marker real fast. All right. So you have, so it's human chorionic. Yes. Chorionic somatomammatropin. Okay.
HCS.
Yeah, that's a short abbreviation for it. Chorionic baby. That's what that means. All right. Somato means body. And mammo means mammary or breasts. And then tropic means stimulating, yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a tropic hormone.
So that's the breakdown of this. So if you didn't write this down, if If you don't know what it is, if you did not memorize this, break apart that word. So chorionic somatomatotropic hormone. What that's doing. So due to the baby, your body is going to stimulate your breasts to start maturing and producing milk. See? Tells you exactly what it's doing. That's why SS loves this one. So it's going to help the mammary glands develop because you need that for when the baby's born to feed them, keep them healthy. It's going to enhance growth and protein synthesis as well because, you know, amino acids and everything build our entire body. And you're building now a second body on top of maintaining your own. So you need a lot of that. And it also is going to decrease glucose use and then increase fatty acid use and ATP production because you don't want to be using your actual blood sugar to be developing in your baby because then you'll go into hypoglycemia and you'll start passing out, which is also not good for the baby. So you're going to pull on your fat storages to help develop the baby. That way your blood sugar stays the normal rate. Okay. And that is everything for your hormones. All right. Next, prenatal development, 3 trimesters. Everyone knows this. You got first trimester, first 3 months. Primitive forms of all of your organs are going to go ahead and form. This is the time you're most vulnerable to drugs, tritogens, radiation, infection, all that stuff that we don't like. So if you're in this time period or you know someone who's in this time period, make sure they avoid a lot of things. Caffeine, smoking cigarettes, salmon is actually bad. It has mercury in it. So make sure they stay away from a lot of those things that can harm the baby.
Fish.
Yeah.
In general.
Any fish, anything that comes from the sea has a lot of mercury in it. Keep them away from it. All right. Second trimester is months 4 to 6. Organs are nearly complete, not fully though. They're mostly formed. They're almost ready to go. Third trimester is going to be 7 to 9 months. Organs are basically complete, and now you have the rapid growth of a pound to a half pound every week being added, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you think about it, you're carrying it this way on you. That's a lot of weight. That's like literally just carrying around all day, pretty much a watermelon, but you're not using your arms, you're using your lower back muscles, which are like the weakest muscles in the body. So very painful for women who are pregnant. And that's gonna lead into, we're gonna now talk about the different like periods of prenatal development. So you have trimesters, but then you also have like the 2 periods. First one is embryonic period. That's from fertilization. And then you're gonna go all the way to week 8. If you have twins, they have to split before week 8. If they don't split before week 8, then you're gonna have a normal baby. If they do split after week 8, the pregnancy will not continue because it's too dangerous now. You've actually split what would have been essential organs. And the next one is gonna pick up right after it. So week 9, that's gonna be fetal period, and that is until you're gonna be born. And that is, you're going to be your tissues, your organs, and they're gonna be developed in this, that were developed in embryonic, they're gonna go ahead and differentiate. So this is how you're gonna get like your mesoderm, your endoderm, your ectoderm. That's all gonna pop in here. All right, next part, fertilization business, because, you know, how to make it funny. All right, on the way to the ovary, we're gonna talk about something called capacitation. This is what the sperm kind of go through. So on the way to the ovary, the vaginal secretions cause the sperm to undergo capacitation. So they're gonna do a little switch up. And it's basically they're going to more vigorously swim because they have to get there. And the female reproductive tract is showing chemical signs that it's during ovulation. So now the sperm know, hey, we have a chance, we gotta go. So they're gonna start pushing a little bit further and harder to get there. So they're gonna cause that. They're going to lose the cholesterol membrane and then proteins in the membrane. It helps them move faster because that's like heavy, bulky stuff. They're gonna get rid of it. It's like offload the backpack, don't want it. Once they reach the egg, they have to, there's 2 layers. You have your corona radiata, which is the outermost layer. And then you have, I would say this one, zona pellucida, I believe I say it, within inside of it. So once it penetrates the corona radiata, nothing really happens. However, zona pellucida is a very special one. It has the ZP3 receptor, which is actually like a receptor for sperm. So it goes ahead, bonds to sperm. once it does this is what like SS and Kenny Hunt kind of talked about. It locks everything else out. No other sperm are allowed in. Once it binds to it, it's like, nope, we're done. I'm sealing up. This is the only one allowed in. So it goes ahead, it does that. And then the acrosomal enzymes that it was surrounding like the nucleus, those go ahead and like break off and kind of meld with the ovum. And this also kind of helps like digest that path through the ovum to get to the nucleus in the middle, because even though the ovum's pretty big, the nucleus is still deep in there, pretty small. Okay. All right, now we have singamy and zygote formation. Would you like to do the singamy song for me?
Sing-a-me.
There we go. Featuring Anna. So we have that. All right, so singamy and zygote formation. All right, so the haploid is nucleus in the head of the sperm. This makes a lot of common sense, guys. Very simple. Haploid of the sperm in the head is going to become the male pronucleus because it came from the man. Makes sense. The haploid nucleus of the fertilized ovum becomes the female pronucleus because it came from the woman. Very simple. It's very, very easy. Now, when we get to singamy, you have male pronucleus, female pronucleus, and they go, hey, let's hold hands. That's singamy. There you go. You're done. That's it.
Yeah.
They're just gonna walk into the sunlight together. I don't know, but that's it. So that's it. That's how you get your zygote, because they're gonna go ahead and merge together. Now, special scenarios. If we have twins, so there's two types of twins. You have dizygotic and monozygotic. Dizygotic is there's two zygotes, so there was two ovaries and two sperms. That's a lot of stuff. All right, I don't think your body likes that. And then you also have monozygotic. Monozygotic is where you have the one fertilized ovum, and then fertilized zygote if you want to. Before week 8, your body decides, for some random reason, hey, let's split into two, because that's a great idea. Don't know why, because your uterus and vagina don't like that, but your body decided that was a fun idea. So you have twins now, and they're going to be identical. Even more fun. So that's what's going to happen there. And, okay, I lied. No, before day 8, not week 8, before day 8, sorry. They will go ahead and do that split off. And now we're going to talk a little bit about stem cells. So stem cells, if you guys remember the picture from lab of like the blue little, like you have your yolk sac and then there's like a blue little thing and this like thicker blue cell layer, that's a blastocyst. And that's your like inner blastocyst layer. That's where you get stem cells from. And basically those cells can turn into anything possible. That's why they're being researched for like nervous issues, because our nerves are very bad at like regenerating. So this
Embryoblasts. They're called embryoblasts.
Embryoblasts, there we go. And that's where it's gonna go ahead and come off of. So that's what happens there. And then we have gastrulation. Gastrulation is what I was talking about up here in fetal period. So gastrulation is when the 3 germ layers are going to form. This is gonna happen by the 3rd week. So actually, no, that happens in embryonic period. Yeah. So embryonic period is going to contain gastrulation because it's the 3rd week. And so basically you're going to get your endo, meso, and ectoderm. Endoderm is going to be digestive tract, innermost layer. That's going to be it. And then your heart, your lung, stuff like that. Then you have your mesoderm, muscles. Yeah, you're going to get muscles, ligaments, tendons, all that good stuff, some cartilage. Then you have your ectoderm, epidermis. That's what's going to form from that. Also, nervous tissue forms from that, and that's because it's so close to the surface, so I can feel touch and everything. So there's all that. Now I'm going to go through some of the list that SS provided about changes during pregnancy. All kind of not the funnest things. So we have weight gain. Not fun. We don't like weight gain. Storage
Unless
of
you're anorexic.
Yeah. Storage of proteins, triglycerides, and minerals. So you're going to store a lot more stuff, but this is all for the babies. May not be visibly noticed. Then we have enlarged breasts. You may not like this because you will be in your pain, but your husband or partner may. So I'll say that. Lower back pain, you won't like this, and you're gonna complain to everyone about it because lower back pain hurts. So sorry about that ahead of time. And then you have changes in your cardiovascular and respiratory system, obviously, because now you're pumping 2 hearts. So that's a lot of blood. You're building a whole nother body. That needs a lot of blood. And then the baby also, even though it's not breathing through its lungs, it needs your oxygen. So you're gonna need to have a higher capacity now because you're also breathing and giving that baby oxygen. Also causes you to have more CO2 because baby has a lot of waste. And you're gonna have an increased appetite if you don't have too much morning sickness, which I believe morning sickness is linked to a deficiency in magnesium. So look up that might actually help you. And then you have incontinence towards the end because baby is just sitting on your bladder and kicking you all day. You know, sorry, mom. And then we have increased renal filtering because you're gonna go ahead and you have to filter more because you have a lot more waste put on your body because the baby can't get any of its waste out except through you. So yeah, apologize to all your moms. Mother's Day is coming up. Be like, hey, I'm sorry, I was such a pain while you were pregnant with me. I love it, promise you. All right, moving on. Prenatal diagnostic tests. So we have non-invasives. We have 2. One, ultrasound. I think everyone's heard of an ultrasound. You mostly see them like with babies. They can be done for other things called Dopplers. Basically, they will like take it up to your neck or on any of your arteries, and they can actually see the artery pumping. They can also do it in your heart. It's called an echocardiogram if they do it there though. And it's basically just making sure that everything's pumping normally. But with babies, we're checking for different stuff. So you can check for deformalities. If you have a hard time conceiving, you're gonna check to confirm that pregnancy. You can also check if you have more than 1 child in there. You can go ahead and check that too. Then you also have the maternal AFP, and I didn't write the full thing for that because it's a long word. I didn't have enough room, as you can tell. So that is a blood test on mom. So it's non-invasive, not gonna hurt the baby, no risk, or very, very tiny risk, if anything. And so for that, it's just a little bit, and you're gonna go ahead, you're gonna remove that blood, test for a protein called AFP, and that protein is normally high during, I believe, 12 to 16 weeks. If it's after that 16-week mark and it is high, there is now an issue. That means that the baby has a neural tube defect, which is fatal. So that it does need more testing though to confirm. It's just a preliminary test, but that is one of the risks with having this. Then we have invasive tests, which are equally beneficial and dangerous. They have high risks on them. So we have amniocentesis, which is going to be 14 to 18 weeks, and you're going to remove amniotic fluid with a needle. So you will literally stab a needle through mom's pregnant belly, through her uterus while she's awake, not numbed. If anything, they might do a local anesthetic if they do that, because they don't like to do that in America. And you're going to get inside of that cavity and now remove some amniotic fluid and then go test it. And you can get dangers, especially if you have low amniotic fluid. They may want to do this test to see what's going on, but now it becomes dangerous because you might hurt the baby. Then we have chorionic villus sampling, which is even more painful. So that is going to be at week 8, and you're going to use a catheter or a needle, and you're actually going to go into the placenta where the baby is attached to mom and the chorionic villi, and you're going to pull blood out of there, which, as you can tell, is a lot more painful than just pulling out fluid the baby's sitting in. Like, you're actually pulling out blood and stuff from mom out of the placenta, which is very sensitive. So not the best thing. Both of these tests for genetic abnormalities. If you've had a hard time conceiving or infertility, they will make you do this. A lot of people choose to do it for Down syndrome. Some moms choose not to do it just because of the risks. Yeah, so it's definitely a thing. All right, now we're gonna go on the fun things. We have labor. So labor is fun but not fun because it's gonna get scary real soon here. All right, I'm just gonna hold you guys right there. All right, we got labor. So dilation to delivery, and I can't read that. Estrogen, to have this happen, your estrogen levels have to go ahead and go above your progesterone level. So this was the crossover and the graphs we were looking at. So you have to have that for that to happen. So that has to happen. And then oxytocin actually causes your contractions. So your oxytocin is going to go ahead and like help you to do that. So if your oxytocin is raising, you know, baby comes out. Little tip, if you know someone whose baby's not coming out, tell them to do stuff that makes them especially happy, and baby will come out, promise you. Continuing. So dilation is 0 to 10 centimeters. So 10 centimeters is the size of a donut. So pretty much that is how big your cervix is gonna get. So that's that, and it's gonna take 6 to 12 hours, and it seems like, you know, it's not that painful. It's painful because the baby's head's what's causing you to dilate. It's baby's head pressing up against your cervix, so it's not the most gentle thing in the world. Now we have expulsion. So that's from the time you're 10 centimeters dilated, or 10 centimeters dilated. And from that, you're gonna go ahead and you're going to push out the baby all the way, feet and everything. And that is going to be 10 minutes to several hours, like very, very long time. And then once baby's out, you have to deliver the placenta, and that's gonna be 5 to 30 minutes. Best way to get this done, have that baby latch on, start breastfeeding, your body will realize, hey, baby's out, and you'll immediately start contracting, and you'll push out that placenta because your body's like, hey, baby's out, we can get the rest of this stuff out, we don't need it anymore. So this is the feedback loop right here, just kind of simplified. If you would like to look in your packets for the feedback loop, it is a very honestly helpful one. We use it in the beginning of the year quite often. So if you would like to use that, you can look at true stages of labor. That slide kind of does the big in-depth version of it. If not, I can't find it. There it is. 0, wow, it's out of chapter 1, and it's 1-4 is what you want to look at. There might be a better one in our actual slides for this chapter. All right, so now we have infant adjustments. So the lungs are going to expand, and you're going to get that fluid out of them because they've been in amniotic fluid. So now they're finally going to get that out of them, so they can do that now. So CO2 is actually going to start increasing now. I think I got it. So CO2 is going to go ahead and start increasing because of this. Once your CO2 goes ahead and increases, it's going to, you know, as we know, stimulate your medulla in the back, your respiratory center, and be like, hey, we need to breathe. That's not what causes a baby to breathe. McCollum would get mad at me if I told you guys it was. It's not. I'll tell you right now what it is. The reason a baby breathes is due to, 1, temperature changes the thoracic cage, 2, pressure changes of thoracic cage. That's why babies cannot be born if they're feet first. Because if they are, that thoracic cage is going to come out first. They're going to get cold, and their rib cage is going to expand because they're no longer being squeezed on. They'll inhale, but their head's still in mom. They'll inhale all that amniotic fluid, and it causes them to aspirate and die. That's why they have to come out head first. That's why if you ever see a baby's born, their head comes out, and it's a second. Mom gets to take a second break because it's in between contractions. Doctors go ahead, hurry up, suction, and then next contraction goes. Mom pushes, the entire baby comes out, airway is clean, and they inhale. So pressure, temperature changes of the thoracic cavity is what allows babies to go ahead and take their first breath. We don't need to know that for this exam, but if anyone wants to go into OB, we take OB classes later, you're gonna need to know that and keep that in mind at all times. All right. So other things, so your blood is gonna go to your lungs, or the baby's blood is gonna go ahead and go to its lungs. And the ductus arteriosum, so that was that connection. We see it when we have the ductus ligamentus in our body. That's where that was. It went ahead and healed up. And then you also have your foramen ovale closes. That is between the 2 atria. That goes ahead and closes up. We don't need that anymore. And then your umbilical arteries will become your median umbilical ligament. Sorry, I was missing one word. All right, lactation, last little bit. I did kind of cut things out because we were running out of space because I wouldn't have enough room for us to do review, which we will eventually make a video on all the other chapters that we need to go over. So Lactation, so prolactin is going to go ahead and stimulate milk synthesis. This is actually suppressed during pregnancy. So during pregnancy, you have prolactin being secreted, but your progesterone is so high that you don't actually secrete it. It's just kind of going. And then once baby's born, and towards the end, once the estrogen raises during delivery time, your body's gonna go ahead and get ready to deliver the baby. So your boobs will also be hurting and swollen because they're ready for the baby to be there so it can go ahead and feed. So that happens. The whole reflex is so suckling, crying, anything like that will cause, eventually if you've been nursing for several months or this is your second, third kid, if you have had a child and it's not your child crying, but there is a child crying, you'll immediately start leaking, like through clothes, bras, shirts. That's what happened. If your baby just fusses while sleeping, this will also happen because your body just naturally thinks, hey, baby's hungry. And it's not, it's just your body's physiological way of responding to crying. So that happens. Once the suckling happens, the touch receptors in the breast are going to go ahead and send information to the brain. That will cause a release of oxytocin. The oxytocin is going to cause contraction of the myoepithelial cells. So that's around those like alveoli ducts that were in the breast. It's going to go ahead and cause also like the mammary, the mammary ducts. And it's going to go ahead and kind of like do a little squeezing motion on it. And then you will get milk ejection. And that last thing, colostrum. Colostrum is the most important thing ever. If you don't want to breastfeed, at least pump to get this little bit of milk for your baby. It is the best thing you can do for them. It is day 1 till about 4. It is straight immune system from you. So when we learn the immune system, we sort of talked about like passive immunity. Passive immunity is through this. This is how your baby gets your immune system. This helps them be really healthy later on in life. Less diseases, whatever you've gotten vaccinated against, they have a higher resistance to. So there's my little tidbit for that. And that is the development. That is total of chapter 29. The other 2 chapters will be up soon. So good luck, guys.
Yeah.